Shri Bhagavan Vacha Parambuya Pravakashmi Yananam Jnanamuttamam Yajjatva Munayo Sarve Param Siddhimito Gataha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you the supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection."
Idam Jnanamupashridya Mama Sadharmaya Magataha Sarvapina Pajayante Pralayena Vyatanti Cha.
By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution.
That's free. Mama Yomi Mahat Brahma Tasmin Garbham Dadhamyaham Sambhava Sarvabhutanam Tato Bhavati Bharataha.
The total material substance, called Brahman, is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata.
That's four. Sarvayonishu Kunteya Murtayaha Sambhavantiyaha Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Pradapita.
It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father.
Sattvam Rajastamaditi Guna Prakriti Sambhava Nibadhani Nibadhananti Mahabaho Dehadinam Avyayam.
Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty Amdarjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes.
Text 6. Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatavat Prakasha Kamananyam Sukha Sangena Vatanti Jnana Sangena Chanagaha.
O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge.
7. Rajo Yaga Sankam Vidhi Trishna Sangha Samadbhuvam Anibananti Kunteya Karma Sangena Dehinam.
The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions.
Text 8. Tamastve Agyana Gyan Vidhi Mohanam Sarvadehinam Brahmadalasya Nidrabhi Tani Bandhanti Bharata.
O son of Bharata, know that the modes of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul.
Text 9. Sattvam Sukhe Sajayati Rajaha Karmani Bharata Jnanam Avritya Tu Tamaha Ramade Sajayati Uta.
O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to madness.
Rajastamas Chabuyaha Sattvam Bhavati Bharata Rajaha Sattva Chaiva Tamaha Sattvam Rajastatha.
Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy.
11 Sarvatvarishu Dehismin Prakasha Upajayate Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyat Vivradham Sattvam Iti Uta.
The manifestations of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge.
Text 12 Lopam Pravriti Arambaha Karmanyam Asamaha Spraha Rajasi Aitini Jayante Vivradhe Bharatarshadbha.
O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop.
Text 13 Aprakasho Pravritis Cha Pramado Moha Evacha Tamasi Aitani Jayante Vivradhe Kuru Nandana.
When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested.
Text 14 Yada Sattve Pravritte Tu Pralayam Yati Deha Brahat Tam Tu Tamavidam Lokan Amalan Pratipadyate.
When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure, higher planets of the great sages.
Text 15 Rajasi Pralayam Dattva Karma Sangeshu Jayate Tatha Pralinastamasi Mudha Yonishu Jayate.
When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom.
16 Karmanaha Sukrutasya U Satvikam Nirnalam Phalam Rajasa Tu Phalam Dukam Agyanam Tamasaha Phalam.
The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness.
Text 17 Sattvat Sanjayate Gyanam Rajaso Lobha Evacha Ramadam Mohau Tamaso Bhavato Gyanam Evacha.
From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion.
Text 18 Urvam Gachanti Sattvastha Madhye Tishtanti Rajasaha Jaganya Guna Vrittista Adho Gachanti Tamasaha.
Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets. And those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds.
Text 19 Nanyam Gumbheyaha Kartaram Yada Drishtanu Upashyati Gunebhyas Cha Param Veti Madbhavam Sa Vigachanti.
When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature.
Text 20. Gunan etam ati ya drin dehi deha samudbhavan gyama mrityu jara dukher vimukto mritam ashnute.
When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life.
Text 21. Arjuna uvacha hare lingestrin gunanetam atito bhavati prabho kimacharaha atham chaitans tringunan ati vartate.
Arjuna inquired, O my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature?
Text 22 to 25. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Rakasham cha pravrittim cha mohaneva cha pandava nadvashti sampravartani na nivrittani kankashati. Udashina vadashino guneryo na vichalyate gunavratanti evam yo vatishtani nengate samadukha sukha svastha samalosham kanchanaha tuya priya priyo dhiras tuya nidatma samstutihi manapamanayostu yastuyo mitrari pakshayo sarvarambha parityagi gunanti tahasa uchyate.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature.
Text 26. Mamchayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samtitaya samatityanitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate.
One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
Text 27. Brahmano hi pratishtatham amritasya vyasaya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukham shya ikantikashya cha.
And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gata Mataji. That was very nice. Nicely recited Sanskrit. Thank you so much. And Saroj Mataji, nice and fluent English. Thank you both very much. Just now go on to my presentation. No, we don't need that. Yes, we do. Can you confirm you can see my presentation?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay. So I just need to adjust my screen here. Perfect. Okay. So we're continuing reading this wonderful chapter, chapter 14, the modes of nature. And as usual, we'll just do a quick summary of the chapters of the text so far. Chapter summary. So text 1 to 4, this is section, the liberation and conditioning of the living entities. Text 5 to 9, the modes bind the pure soul. 10 to 13, recognizing a mode's supremacy. Then 14 to 18, which is the current section, it's acting and dying within the modes. So we just go to today's text, which is 1470. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 17. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha pramada moha tamaso bhavato jnanam evacha. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance develops foolishness, madness, and illusion. So interestingly, here in this text, Krishna gives just one result from goodness and passion, but for the mode of ignorance, you got three results: foolishness, madness, and illusion. The text, you can see the word sanjayate, which means develops, and also bhavata on the last line, that also. So you can see both words actually mean develops, but Sanskrit is so rich. You can use different words to fit your meter, etc., etc. And the last line you got jnanam, but actually there's an apostrophe there. You can see there is a apostrophe that's supposed to be ajnanam. So like we discussed before, that whenever there's an apostrophe, you know there is a missing letter there, and usually you can guess what it is. So it's like agyan, actually, it's agyan. And that agyan, we would normally translate it as ignorance. But interestingly, in this particular text, Prabhupada translates it as nonsense. But yeah, ignorance, nonsense, I guess the same thing. So we'll go to the purport. Purport is a one big paragraph, but I've divided it into two. So let's see, I haven't got the list in front of me. Let's see who's there. I go right to the bottom to see if I can find somebody. Normally I go right to the top. So, okay, let's see. I've got Sonal Bimjani. If you can read the first paragraph, if you can unmute yourself, Sonal Mataji. Okay, if not, then I've got Shobna Ben. Shobna Mataji, are you there?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Shobna Mataji, if you can read that first paragraph, please.
Thank you. Since the present civilization is not very congenial to the living entities, Krishna consciousness is recommended. Through Krishna consciousness, society will develop the mode of goodness. When the mode of goodness is developed, people will see things as they are. In the mode of ignorance, people are just like animals and cannot see things clearly. In the mode of ignorance, for example, they do not see that by killing one animal, they are taking the chance of being killed by the same animal in the next life. Because people have no education in actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. To stop this irresponsibility, education for developing the mode of goodness of the people in general must be there. When they are actually educated in mode of goodness, they will become sober, in full knowledge of things as they are. Then people will be happy and prosperous. Even if the majority of people are unhappy and prosperous, if a certain percentage of the population develops Krishna consciousness and becomes situated in the mode of goodness, then there is a possibility for peace and prosperity all over the world. Otherwise, if the world is devoted to the modes of passion and ignorance, there can be no peace or prosperity. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Balaji. So next paragraph, perhaps Sandeep Dubey Prabhu, if you can read the next paragraph, please.
Can you, what is on the screen, right?
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Since the present civilization is not very congenial to the living entities.
Oh, sorry, Prabhu. I didn't move to the next screen. It's supposed to be next page. Hold on a second. Sorry, let's go. Yeah, go on.
No worries. In the mode of passion, people become greedy, and their hankering for sense enjoyment has no limit. One can see that even if one has enough money and adequate arrangements for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind. That is not possible because one is situated in the mode of passion. If one wants happiness at all, his money will not help him. He has to elevate himself to the mode of goodness by practicing Krishna consciousness. When one is engaged in the mode of passion, not only is he mentally unhappy, but his profession and occupation are also very troublesome. He has to devise so many plans and schemes to acquire enough money to maintain his status quo. This is all miserable. In the mode of ignorance, people become mad. Being distressed by their circumstances, they take shelter of intoxication and thus they sink further into ignorance. Their future in life is very dark.
Thank you so much, Sandeep Prabhu. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So text 16 yesterday, Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu did the class. I wasn't able to hear it, but this was about the results of the actions in each of the modes. And now in this text, Krishna is speaking about the intermediate causes of those results. So we'll go through the main points as usual. Prabhupada says, since the present civilization is not congenial to the living entities, Krishna consciousness is recommended. Not congenial, meaning the situation is not favorable. Civilization is not friendly to generally, not favorable. So Krishna consciousness is recommended. So right now, people are involved in all sorts of different things, but not in Krishna consciousness, not in spirituality. So there's a very nice verse in the first canto, 5th chapter, text 11, which came to mind when I was reading this. Who's speaking this? Narad, yes, this is Narad Muni's instructions to Vedavyas. And this is the time when Vedavyas was actually, as if you remember, he was confused. Not confused, he was dissatisfied. Vedavyas had written the Veda. He had then divided the Veda into 4 to make it easier. He then written all the Puranas. He's compiled the Mahabharata, Itihasis, everything. But still he felt some kind of dissatisfaction. And when Narad met him, Narad Muni told him that the one reason you're feeling dissatisfaction is because you have not, in all the other literatures, you have not directly glorified the Supreme Lord. So this is the series of verses which he's then speaking about this. And this verse says, Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin patislokam abhadyavat abhi namanyanantasya yashon kitaniyat shrunvanti gayanti grinanti sadhava. So there's so many literatures in the world. So he's saying here, so before this, the verse before this, verse 10, it is saying that the saintly people consider any words which do not describe the glories of the Supreme Lord to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. So as we know, swans like to swim and remain in nice, beautiful places where there are nice flowers, clean water, like that. But crows will always go to where there is a pile of dirt, pile of rubbish. So this is what that verse is saying. But then, so this verse is now saying, on the other hand, that literature, which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by the purified men who are thoroughly honest. So purified men, thoroughly honest, meaning all the people who are in the mode of goodness. So people who are in the mode of goodness relish this kind of literature, not just the general rubbish that the people, the civilization. This is the present civilization is not very congenial because they're all up to reading all the tamasic and rajasic literatures. People will read novels. People will read newspapers to spend time there. Especially when I know when we used to receive the Sunday newspapers, you get a whole pile of papers. You could spend the whole day just going through all that. And then, okay, some of it is news and the rest of it is just rubbish. But, this is what people like. But that is a place, like a place of pilgrimage for crows. So this is the kind of literature. And it says, even if it is imperfectly composed, that means that, sometimes there may be some grammatical errors or whatever. Prabhupada used to always say when he translated, he says, I'm translating from Sanskrit to English, and English is my second language, not my first language. So there may be some errors in the way I'm dictating. So then his editors used to correct some of it. But he says, yes, but even if it's imperfect, this kind of knowledge, this is describing the Supreme Lord, is always accepted, even if it is imperfect. So to be in the mode of goodness, we should stay away from the other literatures, which will just waste our time. In the purport of that verse, Prabhupada says, when there are too many materialistic activities by the people in general all over the world, there is no wonder that a person or a nation attacks another person or nation on slight provocation. That is the rule of this age of Kali or quarrel. The atmosphere is already polluted with corruption of all description, and everyone knows it well. There are so many unwanted literatures full of materialistic ideas of self-gratification. Then he continues, this is, I've just taken bits of the purport from different parts, it's a very long purport. Under the circumstances, the transcendental literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam will not only diminish the activities of the corrupt mind of people in general, but also it will supply food for the hankering after food for their hankering after reading some interesting literature. In the beginning, they may not like it because one suffering from jaundice is reluctant to take sugar candy. But we should know that sugar candy is the only remedy for jaundice. Similarly, let there be systematic propaganda for popularizing reading of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which will act like sugar candy for the jaundice-like condition of sense gratification. When men have a taste for this literature, the other literatures which are catering poison to society will then automatically cease. So we have access, we are fortunately reading these literatures. So this is our duty to try and spread this as wide as possible so that what is described here as the civilization, which is completely lost, can get a chance to maybe come back, at least try to move towards the mode of goodness. And then that will be the beginning of their end of the cycle of birth and death. Prabhupada continues, because people have no education in actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. To stop this irresponsibility, education for developing the mode of goodness of the people in general must be there. When they are actually educated in the mode of goodness, they will become sober, in full knowledge of things as they are. So you see, the entire education system, if you look at it right now, right, the entire education system is designed to produce people, students, at the end, to come in the mode of passion mainly. All you're taught is just learn what you can, qualify in a nice degree, and then get the best job you can, or the best business you can start, and make as much money as you can, and enjoy life. That is the sum and substance of current education system. There is no teaching. There is nothing. Prabhupada used to go and visit universities. He used to speak in many important universities in USA, also in UK. And he often used to say, "Where is your?" Because they were taking him on a tour and show him different departments of the university. And Prabhupada would always say, "But where is the department that teaches about the soul?" None of the universities, of course, have that. Some may have something called whatever they call it now. It's religious studies. I think they call it something else now. But that also was so generic and so general that it didn't really help anybody. So yes, if people were educated in the mode of goodness, they will become sober. So the whole world will benefit. And Prabhupada said in the purport that it doesn't matter if everybody doesn't come to the mode of goodness, but if quite a few did, then it'll make a big difference. It'll make a big difference to the whole world. And this knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, we must understand, it is not something, it's okay, all the material knowledge we need to learn from somebody and sort of work hard to acquire it externally. But the spiritual knowledge is already there. Each one of us has the knowledge in our heart, because the soul is pure. The soul already is completely knowledgeable. The soul is completely knowledgeable. But it is covered. Because it's covered by Maya, it is not. So the spiritual knowledge is actually revealed in the heart. By exposing ourselves to the right people, associating with devotees, reading the right kind of literature, and hopefully maybe even connecting and taking initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, then the knowledge is revealed within the heart automatically. In the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, text 1, it reads, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaya. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. So Lord Brahma himself, the knowledge within the heart was revealed by the Lord himself. So similarly, by us connecting with devotees and the knowledge, and getting mercy from the spiritual master and senior devotees, the knowledge is revealed within the heart. We sing in the morning, we sing the Guru Pranam. Not in the morning, actually this is before the class. So we say, Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We chant these mantras before class every day. So the translation of this, of course, is, I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. He's opened it with the torchlight of knowledge. So interestingly here, the word says, okay, Om Agyana Timirand. So Agyana Timirandasya, so darkness of ignorance. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, which all of us are. As verse says, Janmana Jayate Shudra, all of us are ignorant. But sanskarat dvija uchyate. So just by sanskaras meaning us taking steps in spiritual life, then we start getting knowledge. The other interesting word here is shalakaya. So shalakaya actually, shalaka is translated in that particular verse as medicinal tool used to apply ointment. So what they used to do, they used to have a contraption where they would open your eyes, just like in this picture, you're saying eyes open with matchsticks, right? We sometimes say, I was so tired, I was so sleepy that I needed a matchstick to keep my eyelids open. We sometimes joke like that. But they used to actually have a contraption like that to keep the patient's eyelid open so that the ointment could be put in there, could be applied. So this way, our eyes, our spiritual master literally, like the matchsticks, opens our eyes, our darkened eyes, to the torchlight of knowledge. The other verse that came to mind about this is the Shri Guru Charan Padma. Again, we sing this every morning. And the third verse goes, Chakshudanu dilo jai janme jamme prabhu sai divya gyan hriday prakashito prema bhakti yaha hoite avidya vinasha jate vede gaya haracharito. So again, nice translation here. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. Who does that? The Guru, because this is Guru. These are offerings to our Guru, to the lotus feet of our Guru. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. And Bhagavad Gita 15 chapter we did recently, text 10. Utkramantam sthitam vapi bunjanam va gunhanvitam vimudananu pashyanti jnana chakshusa. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. So this particular verse actually refers to the transmigration particularly, but the foolish, if you relate it to this particular our verse of today, these are the people in a mode of ignorance. They don't understand not about just about the transmigration, but they don't understand anything about the soul. They don't even understand that there is a soul. They're living a life in complete darkness. So in the mode of, Prabhupada continues, in the mode of passion, people become greedy and their hankering for sense enjoyment has no limit. We can all relate to this. One can see that even if one has enough money and adequate arrangements for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind. We all have experience of this. We after something, we get it, and then again we think, okay, we'll be fine. But our mind says, no, now I want something more. So this is the way of the material world, especially the mode of passion. We will never be satisfied. We always hankering for more and more of whatever, maybe more money, maybe more enjoyment, maybe more alcohol, whatever it is. You just want to keep drinking. People drink alcohol, right? And they will keep drinking until they are sick. And even after they've thrown up, they were still looking for more alcohol. This is kind of mad. That's of course our ignorance, not even passion. But that's how it is, the mode of passion. So material bondage due to the mode of passion is called perverga. So this is a term that a lot of you must be familiar with, the Bhakti Shastris, Bhakti Vaidavas. Can somebody tell me what perverga means? Nobody? So perverga actually literally refers to the fifth set of Sanskrit alphabet, known as labials. So you have Sanskrit, they've got like sets of alphabet, which is guttural. So gutturals would be with your throatal sounds, k, k, g, g, like that, right? And then there are palatal sounds where your tongue touches the top of your palate, ch, ch, j. Those are palatal signs. Then there's something else. I think it's called linguals or something, which is the t sound, t, t, d. And then you got the dentals, where your tongue actually touches the dentals, the back of your top teeth, which is t, t, d. And then the fifth set is labials. Labials is p, p, b, b, m. Right? So that is a labial where your lips actually close. So these p, p, b, b, m, you have to close your lips. So they're called labials. So perverga actually refers to this set of Sanskrit alphabet. But then there is a meaning to each one of them that the Shastras give. Anybody know what per refers to? Remember, we're talking about bondage in the mode of passion. So per, yeah, somebody opened this mic. Palika Mataji, yes.
I thought I knew Paul, but Paul I know. Paul is Fana. It's a hole.
Yeah, fair enough, exactly.
Boys, I forgot.
Bha is bhayam.
Yes, you're getting right. But you're getting all the later ones for Mataji and Palika Mataji.
And Ma is Mittu. My Papa Baba Ma.
Yes.
Ma is.
Exactly. So you know it, of course, you know it. And of course, you wouldn't, maybe you don't remember it straight away, but pa is parishram.
Yes, I remember now.
Parishram means what?
Endeavor.
Effort, endless and effort.
Hard labor. Parishram means endeavor. Endeavor would be just, just normal work. But hard labor means parishram.
Yeah.
And this is what people in passion do, don't they? They work hard day and night. And every time I think about this, I can't help but think about my uncle. My uncle used to run petrol stations. He used to have a wine shop and everything. And he didn't have time for anything else. He used to just all the time work. And even on weekends, we used to go to visit them in the house. He'd be sitting with all the books on his dining table, all spread out, doing VAT and doing this. So always working, just like day and night. This is called hard labor. And then one fine day, I think I've said this before, I had a heart attack and left this world at the age of, I think, 56, 57, something like that. That's per. And per actually, it's not fur, but per, which is pena.
Yes. Pena.
Pena. Pena, what does that mean, Palika Mataji?
It's like a foam. It's coming out when they work so hard that it.
Yes.
The foam comes out of their mouth.
Okay. So actually, if you look at horses, when the horses are worked really hard, they have foam. They have their mouths foam up. So similarly, it is just like explain that men who work so hard, they're literally foaming at the mouth. This is how hard they work. And then ba
is Barthota, is frustration. We call it Barthota. Barthota is a frustration.
Oh yes, actually, yeah, that I've also heard that, but I remember it as banda. So but you're right. Actually, you probably buy ba because because ba in that word vyak. What's the word vyaktita?
Barthota is frustration. Like I heard Srila Prabhupada saying, so that's why I'm just repeating Srila Prabhupada.
That works when you are doing Bengali because that word actually is a V word. Bengali goes B, so it fits for Bengali. But here, banda means bondage.
Bondage.
Yeah, and then bha,
It's bhaya is fear.
Fear. We're always fearing, right? Everything. You're always fearing. Okay, we got alarm systems at our home. We got this. We got that. We got ring bells now in the front, so we can know who's coming. So many because of fear. We're always fearing, right? That something will happen. Something will take away what I have. Fear at every step, right? Then, of course, somebody mentioned already. Puja Mataji said,
yeah,
death. And that's death. So this is it. Pa, pa, ba, ba, ma. It represents this bondage of the material world. So we need to rise above this, and that is called aparvaga, which means above all this right? So Prabhupada then says in a text, he has to devise so many plans and schemes to acquire enough money to maintain his status quo. So this is the situation of people in this mode of passion. There is no end to it. They're always just after one scheme of the other, like I mentioned my uncle. And everybody will know somebody like that. But this is a symptom. See, devotees, the idea is we're learning all this from the Bhagavad Gita so we can recognize when it's happening to us. We can also recognize when it's happening to our close ones so we can also guide them if they will listen. This is the whole idea. Then Prabhupada says, if one wants happiness at all, his money will not help him. He has to elevate himself to the mode of goodness by practicing Krishna consciousness. Time is running out, but we'll just quickly go through this beautiful verse in the 10th canto, 1458. Samashrita ye padapallava plavam mahatpadam punya yasho murare pavambundi vatsapadam param padam yatvipadam na tesham. Prabhupada uses this, especially the last line, very, very often in his lectures. So both for those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is a shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of the material world is like water contained in a calf's hoof print. Their goal is Parampadam, Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not this place where there is danger at every step.
Thank you.
As we were saying in the previous slide, here we are fearing because there is danger at every step. Right? And we need to, of course, find our way out of this up to go to Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha. The material world is known as Kuntha. Kuntha means a place of not misery, but place of anxiety always. right? And Vaikuntha means a place without anxiety. Literally, Vaikuntha means place without anxiety. So this is where we need to get out. I'll quickly cover the mode of ignorance. So in the mode of ignorance, people are just like animals and cannot see things clearly. For example, they do not see that by killing one animal, they are taking the chance of being killed by the same animal in the next life, right? So this is what Prabhupada often mentioned, that this is the law of karma. If one person kills an animal, that animal gets a chance to kill him in the next life. In the purport of the first canto 7, chapter 37, I'll read this quickly. According to Manu, this is the Manu Samhita. According to Manu, the great author of the civic codes and religious principles, even the killer of an enemy is to be considered a murderer, because animal food is never meant for civilized man, whose prime duty is to prepare himself for going back to Godhead. So uncivilized people do eat meat, right? But nowadays you see so many seemingly civilized families, they think nothing of eating meat. They really don't realize this is for low-class people, right? Then the purport continues. He says that he says that the act of killing an animal, in the act of killing, there is regular conspiracy by the party of sinners, and all of them are liable for punishment as murderers, exactly like a party of conspirators who kill a human being combinedly. So everybody who's in the food chain is covered. It'll explain now. He who gives permission to kill the animal, he who kills the animal, he who sells the slaughtered animal, he who cooks the animal, he who administers and distributes the foodstuff, and at last, the one who eats such cooked animal food, are all murderers. And all of them are liable to be punished by the laws of nature. So there's a friend of mine who always say, look, I eat meat, but I'm not killing anything. It's there. I go to a restaurant and it's on my plate. I haven't killed the animal. But this Manu Samhita confirms that you are very much a part of the whole chain, and you are as liable as the killer himself. The material world is itself a place is full of anxiety, as we said just now. And by encouraging animal slaughter, the whole atmosphere becomes polluted more and more by war, pestilence, famine, and many other unwanted calamities. So this whole meat eating thing is so harmful for the whole civilization. I think it was Sir Paul McCartney who said, if slaughterhouses had glass walls, everyone would be a vegetarian. So we will end here. I'll just invite any questions, comments. Sorry, a little bit overran again, but I'll invite comments, questions, anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Joli Mataji.
I'm actually interested in the question about mental illness. They go mentally ill in the mode of passion. I wondered about the addicts, especially like say alcoholic or drug addictions, which is seen as an illness and treated as an illness in the mental health system. How would you connect that with them? Because they were born with it, they reckon, or because they have that addictive nature.
Yeah.
So it's not as though they developed the passion in life beforehand. I'm not sure about that. That's why I want to ask and clarify it.
That's a good point, Jolly Mataji. So when we say that somebody is born with this kind of inclination, like in this case, addiction,
yeah,
of course, now we understand from what we read that that's because of the prominence of the modes of passion and ignorance in that particular person. And yes, you can say that it is something that to a certain extent, we can't help because we have that conditioning. But the point here is that if that person early on was helped or was fortunate to meet devotees and understand this. You see, as we know, yes, these modes are there from our previous lives, right? But
Yeah.
the point Prabhupada makes over and over again is that we are not stuck with them. We are not stuck with them. We can take remedial action through the remedies recommended in the Shastras. And by doing those things, we can move from the mode of, even from the mode of gross ignorance, we can move to the mode of goodness. So that can be done. But yes, when these people have no access to this knowledge, they have no access to devotees, then of course, the medical science sees it as an addiction, as an illness, and they will try and treat that addiction. I'm not sure how they deal with addiction of alcoholic. I know there's Alcoholics Anonymous and groups like that. They would try and help each other out and everything. But I'm not sure medically what they can do. I don't have any experience.
Often they start with medication and then they would do like a behavior therapy thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And then often they would try and include the family so they could have the support.
Yes. Yes.
So there's quite a vast outlook on it to how to help them. But of course, they have to want to.
Yes.
So that's a person who really wants to, they can do it.
Exactly. So similarly, and I imagine if that person, and of course, all kudos, all these people, medical science is trying to do all this to help people out of these very terrible situations, which is very nice. Nothing wrong with that. But imagine if that was also complemented with spiritual knowledge. It would be so much more effective.
I'd love to see that, actually. And we're trying to do that by spreading the books in these areas, aren't we?
Perfectly, exactly.
Bhagavad Gita,
yes. So these other methods that they're using, they may work for some and may not work for some. But if there was a combination, it will work for everybody.
I do agree. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. That's really helpful.
Thank you, Jolly Mataji.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Sandeep Prabhu.
Just my reflection on the shloka that you were just telling, like the hoof of a cow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and Vaikuntha, which is Vaikuntha means without kuntha.
Yes.
Without anxiety. And all this problem of alcoholism, drug addiction, aggression, and ill behavior, ill manners, they all emanate from kuntha, from anxiety.
That is such a good point, actually. Yes.
And only the name of Krishna and chanting can elevate that. I've seen people who have gone to medical treatment, psychological treatment, everything. Nothing could elevate it. Nothing could take care of it. Nothing could take care of their kuntha. They would always go back to.
Yes.
And modern medical science is miserably and spectacularly failing in curing simple things like alcoholism or drug addiction. This kuntha can only be eliminated by chanting. And this is my experience. I can say that.
I think, Sandeep Prabhu, you make a very, very good point, because I know that even with all those methods that they use, if somebody does give up, it'll be for a short time. They will soon be back on it. I've seen so many cases where somebody's given up. Think even something like smoking, right? They'll give it for 6 months, 8 months, but very soon some trigger, and that's, as you say, some anxiety. Usually it's anxiety. Something triggers it, and they're back on it.
Yes, Prabhu. Everything is symptom of anxiety and lack of intelligence.
Yes, exactly. But more than, like you say, more than anything else, lack of spirituality, because spirituality will be the strong pillar they can hold on to. Nothing else can be so strong.
Exactly, Prabhuji. And it's exactly like a hoof of a calf.
Yes.
It becomes so easy. I mean, I've seen many alcoholics going back, and some of them who held on to Krishna consciousness could cross it. I personally know cases who have given up, I don't recommend it, but anxiety drugs, because they were prescribed by NHS because of chanting.
Wow.
I don't recommend this. They have to, but I've seen a few cases like that.
Yeah. And not just that, Sandeep Prabhu. Look at all the early devotees. The first people that Prabhupada met in that St. Tompkins Park in New York were all addicts. All of them. Not a single person was not. Everybody was the hippie. Hippies this is what they did. Their life was smoke ganja, drink, and womanize. They were all addicted to those things, right? And just by being in contact with Prabhupada and starting to chant, within weeks, not even months, within weeks, they all changed. This is the power, association and spirituality. Process is so powerful that unfortunately, obviously, most people in the Western world don't recognize it.
Even in India.
Yes, of course, even in India, you're right. Yes, yes. In India, at least, people mostly have some path. You know, it may not be Vaishnavism, but something they believe in. Most Indians will believe in something. Except now, I think you're getting this modern age where it is fashionable to be an atheist also in India. They say, there's a famous thing they say, don't they? They say, I like to be spiritual, but not religion. Nothing to do with religion. They have this fashionable thing to say, but it doesn't make sense. You have to have some path to follow, otherwise spirituality, is meaningless.
Yes, Prabhuji, they are called SBNR, spiritual
yeah.
but not religious.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's a special class for them now. Yeah.
There is a Mataji who is a devotee and she is a psychiatrist, Chiti Shakti Mataji.
Oh, I know.
I think, yeah, and she, I think, is very much into, I think, combining the two, the medicinal part and the spiritual part into mental health.
Yeah, she's very, very, very good. She's an excellent
She's
devotee.
very good. Yes.
Very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
I've heard her give some classes, some amazing classes.
Amazing. Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah.
Very nice, very good. Yeah. So that's it. That's an ideal combination. If people would take that kind of platform and just combine the modern methods, but with spirituality, that would be the elixir for all these problems.
That's true. And the very initial mental health, not the very serious ones, the initial or the most benign ones, the slight mental health problems can be solved by spirituality, because when it starts like nipping in the bud, so when we study mode of ignorance, we can completely relate, the mode of ignorance is causing the mental health problem.
Absolutely right. This is so true. And we can see it, right? And because we have studied it, now we know, and we can recognize it in ourselves and also other people. And as you say, anything, whether it's a disease, whether it's a habit, if you can nip it in the bud, that's the best way, easiest way. And that can be done just by connecting with devotees, associating with devotees.
That's true.
I think what would help, we need more psychiatrists to practice a bit like that, Mataji.
Yes.
Because I remembered having a doctor from India, a locum doctor that came over, and he treated all depression and low mood people with anxiety with this light machine, the light, the ultraviolet ray light lamp.
Okay.
For people who suffer SAD, seasonal affective disorder.
Oh, yes.
Every winter that you don't get the sun, so you don't get the vitamin D that's necessary.
Yeah.
And he bought a whole set himself and he loaned them to the clients and they were healed. So this is the kind of thing we need to take notice of and spread it, but people aren't, Psychiatrists don't believe in these things, most of them. Yes. They just go with the scientific evidence,
Yeah, you're right, Jolly Mataji. But I think one big problem is that there's so few of us. That's the problem.
Yes.
Look at just the devotees. That compared to the rest of the population, we are 0.000 something percent, right? So that's number one. And out of the devotees, how many are medical professionals who can try and do this? Very, very few.
Very few, yeah.
This is why if we can somehow spread this in such a way that more people become devotees, then we'll have more medical people who are devotees who can then apply this science together with their other practices.
Yeah, if you try to introduce it, you get into trouble because they start thinking of disciplining you and all sorts now.
Of course,
it's so rigid,
Yeah, exactly. So the world has gone mad in terms of politics.
It has, yeah. I mean, I remembered when people were in hospitals and they were ill, families weren't allowed to come and see them, but now families are involved so well. So somehow they listened and they made changes in that area.
Yes,
Because the family support is vital, is the most important. But,
absolutely.
you know, getting people to understand is so hard, and they have this habit of following their own culture.
That's right. That is so true.
There is a science called psychotherapy, and that NHS uses Buddhism's principle in meditation and psychotherapy and talking therapy. So they are what do you call, importing the Eastern philosophies, but God is out of the picture, obviously, because God,
Yeah.
then it will be religion. So they are using Buddhism techniques, meditation and all that. But then they are saying that we have taken it from Buddhism, but it's not Buddhism, because again, Buddhism will be a religion then.
Yeah,
So NHS has to be impartial. So they are taking in Eastern philosophies and trying to cure mental health, because mental health has gone absolutely out of control in UK, USA, and many countries. Depression, suicidal tendency, and all that has gone out of control. So they are taking in as much as possible from every other philosophy, so that somehow they can help these
that is so
people.
true. That is true. And this mental health situation with this pandemic is going to go much worse. Much
Yeah,
worse.
that's true.
People like us, we're fortunate. We have the technology. We can be in association like this, even in a lockdown. But other people are going bonkers, when they don't have anything else to do.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. Very sad. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
all right, devotees, thank you so much for tuning in again today. Wonderful. I'm so fortunate to be able to associate with all of you every Tuesday. Please do look after yourself. Things are really, really bad out there. Do not go out unless you really have to. Let's keep safe and pray that everybody else remains safe. Thank you so much, devotees.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.